Every day you face a multitude of problems that you must solve. You face these problems at work, in school, and in your personal lives. Perhaps today you are trying to decide which mobile device to purchase, or perhaps you're trying to decide on a topic for your research paper. Or maybe it's close to lunchtime and you're trying to determine which meal has the least amount of calories. The purpose of this chapter is to introduce you to some of the techniques of problem solving that you'll be able to apply to situations that face you inside of the classroom as well as those outside of it. You'll be learning that problem solving is inherent to the nature of mathematics. A Hungarian mathematician named George Polya, he did much research in writing on the nature of problem solving. His method of problem solving, which consisted of 4 major steps, is used as a blueprint for solving problems not only in mathematics, but in other areas of study as well. Those 4 steps are: 1. Understand the problem. 2. Devise a plan. 3. Carry out your plan. And 4. Look back at your plan. Well, let's begin with the first step. We're going to go through these a little bit, and then as we go through these, I'm going to introduce a problem to show you how to apply these steps to the problem so that you can figure it out. So the first step is to understand the problem. Okay, what is the unknown? What are the data? Determine suitable notation. What's the condition? Is the condition sufficient to determine the unknown? So the first thing is to read the problem carefully several times and underline or write down the basic information given in the problem. Next then is to write down what you're being asked to find. You will want to choose some good names for the unknown because it's really good practice to name the objects in a problem so that you can remember their meaning easily. So let's use a problem to help us apply what we're learning. All right, so the problem that we need to solve is a 150-pound person walking briskly for 1 mile can burn about 100 calories. How many miles per day would the person have to walk to lose 1 pound in 1 week? It is necessary to burn 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. All right, so let's begin to understand the problem. All right. So we need to figure out, well, what's unknown, right? And at this point, how many miles per day is going to be what's unknown. If we needed to use suitable notation, what could we use for the miles? Well, m. M's a great variable to help remind us that it's going to stand in for miles, the unknown. Okay. What's the data? Well, burns 100 calories per 1 mile. And needs to burn 3,500 calories in 7 days to lose 1 pound. All right, so that's awesome. So now what we want to do is we want to write down what is being asked. Okay, what do they want us to find? So this problem is asking us, how many miles per day does the person have to walk to lose 1 pound in 1 week? So now that we have that first step understood, all right, we're going to now move on to the second step, which is to devise a plan. All right, things to think about. Have you seen it before? Have you seen something similar? Do you know a related problem? Look at the unknown. All right, so let's go through some of these. Well, there's many ways to solve problems, okay? It may be helpful to draw a picture. Sometimes whatever problem you're working on, drawing a picture will help keep it straight, all right? Problems, they'll usually contain several conditions that must be satisfied. So in many cases, you'll find it useful to just draw some pictures to understand these conditions before you try to solve the problem. You could be systematic by making an organized list, right? Sometimes if you approach a situation in an organized, systematic way, frequently you'll gain insight into the problem, all right? This is a really good piece of the plan to put in place. You may be able to solve the problem by trial and error, all right? Guessing's okay. One of the difficulties in solving word problems is that you can be afraid to say something that may be wrong and consequently sit staring at the problem, writing nothing until you have the full-blown situation. Well, making guesses even incorrect guesses, it's not a bad way to begin. It actually may give you some understanding of the problem. So once you make a guess, evaluate it. See how close you are to meeting all of the conditions of the problem. Well, you might be able to find a similar problem that has already been solved and apply the technique to the problem that you're trying to solve. This is pretty common in your textbook. You're going to look for a similar problem and then try and apply that to the problem you've been given for your homework. All right. You'll maybe convert a new problem to an older one. An effective technique in solving a new problem is to actually, just try to convert it with a problem that you've solved before. It's often possible to rewrite a condition so that that problem becomes exactly like the one you've seen before. You could try a simpler version of the problem. You can begin to understand a complex problem by solving some scaled down versions of that problem. Once you recognize a pattern in the way that you're solving the simpler problems, then you can carry over what you've learned to attack that full-blown problem. And then you could look for patterns. All right, if you can recognize a pattern in a situation you're studying, you can often use it to answer questions about that situation. Then there's the use of arithmetic operations, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You also may be able to solve the problem using algebraic equations or geometric formulas. Okay, these are just some things that you can use to devise a plan to solve the problem. All right, so let's just really quickly review what we're working on, and then we're going to jump to applying our second step to devise a plan to our problem. All right, again, we're looking for how many miles per day does a 150-pound person have to walk to lose a pound in 1 week, okay? So in this one, it's necessary for us to see how many calories need to be burned per day, and then divide that by 100 to see how many miles need to be walked, all right? So that's our plan, all right? All right, so now what? So now we're going to move on to step 3. We're going to carry out that plan. We're going to check each step of our plan. We're going to make sure that we can clearly see that that step is correct. And then if we can, we're going to try and prove that that step is correct. All right, but I also want to remind you that after you've devised a plan, try it out, all right? Don't just say, yeah, that's it, and move on, all right? You got to check it out. Because if you can't get the answer, you'll need to try a different strategy, all right? So if it doesn't work the first time with that first method that you've tried, try something else, all right? I also want to advise you that sometimes there's more than one way to solve a problem. So your classmates, they may arrive at the correct answer using a different method, okay? That's okay too, unless you're supposed to solve it a certain way, okay? So just keep those things in mind, all right? Again, we're trying to find out how many miles per day the person has to walk to lose a pound in a week, okay? And we've figured out our plan, and so now we're going to carry out that plan, all right? So since we know that there's 3,500 calories that need to be expended in 7 days, we're going to divide 3,500 by 7, and that's going to tell us how many calories per day, right? So that's going to be 500 calories per day. Now we're going to take that, and we're going to divide it by 100 to get 5 miles. And you're wondering, where did that 100 come from? Well, let's go back, right? We know that you can burn 100 calories per 1 mile, okay? And so we have to walk 500 miles that we've just figured out here. Okay, let me get back to my slide that I need to be on. So we know that we need to divide that 500 by 100 now, right, to get that 5 miles, all right? So that actually solves it for us. It's necessary to walk briskly 5 miles a day to lose 1 pound in a week. So now what we need to do is our fourth step, okay? We need to look back. We need to make sure that we check that result, right? We want to make, or argument, whatever it is that you happen to be working on. Can you derive the result in a different way? Maybe you can see it just by glancing at it. All right. Can you use that result or method for some other problem? So you want to keep this in mind, okay? So it might help you in the future. All right. So let's check our answer. This one's pretty easy. We want to just multiply that 5 miles by 100 calories by 7 days to get 3,500 calories. So basically you're plugging it in reverse. You're performing that all in reverse. Okay? So now we know the 4 steps that we can apply to help us with our problem solving. So I just want to leave you with some words of wisdom from Polya. Okay? Learning must be active. All right? Mathematics, you see, it's not a spectator sport. To understand mathematics means to be able to do mathematics. And what does that mean, to be able to do mathematics? Well, in the first place, it means to be able to solve mathematical problems. Well, that concludes this video.